Battle Bricks, Uber Rares by Slideshow Bob. So, what are Uber Rares, and how many are there currently? Uber Rares are the rarest type of battler you can obtain via the gacha system with a 5% chance of getting one, and there's currently 11 you can get. 3 being traitless, meaning they don't have anything that's anti-based, 2 being anti-red, 2 being anti-black, 3 being anti-angel, and 1 being anti-devil. Key note, the slash in between the Uber Rare is the alternate form on the other side. First off, Chairman / Rage Quitter. This is Chairman. He is a rusher who does knockback per enemy with a moderately decent walk speed. His fire rate increases the more health he loses, and is able to tank a lethal hit, which normally makes him enrage, dealing explosive AoE knockback. His alt form, Rage Quitter, makes him throw his table to target the farthest enemy. It can pierce infinitely and does explosive knockback per enemy. He is used in most strats like 3-star Deathbringer and, I think, Infernus. He is also anti-red, which gives him 12.5% resistance and a 25% damage increase to red traded enemies. Next up is Tix Collector / B-Money. Unlike most units, Tix Collector stays at the base, giving money every few seconds. He's relatively cheap, only 100 bucks, and can be stacked with many other Tix Collectors. However, he has minus 50% resistance, which makes him super lethal to basically any attack. His alternate form, B-Money, makes him have the longest recharge in the game, 999 seconds, but gives much more money every few seconds. He's much more expensive, 1,000 bucks, but he doesn't have minus 50% resistant anymore. B-Money is used much more due to better income, but Tix is good for a lot of money when spammed. Yeah, B-Money spent some Robux for a custom background. Bros poorer, Bros rich! Now for the worst Uber ever. Wes / Maxwell. Wes is really bad, but I'll explain him anyway. Wes is able to summon super scary and evil balloons, which, when it explodes, makes enemies run away from evil confetti. Anyway, Maxwell is at least decent, I guess, being able to summon shadow minions that can attack, but somehow doesn't apply the fear effect despite being a sacred being. If you get this bad unit, great job! You just got the worst Uber in existence. Stupid poo-poo clown that no one uses. And now the best anti-red Uber for crowd control, Mu / Crimson. Oh boy, can't wait to say this. Mu is the first Gamma Ray wielder. Good luck saying that, everyone. Using this to attack enemies with an unfortunate slow fire rate of 3 seconds. However, the ray applies the Hellfire effect, which does fast tick damage over time. His cost is a small 400 bucks, which is nice for a 20-second recharge. His alt form, Crimson, makes him wield the Crimson Peristron Mu, which has a charge up of 2 seconds before releasing 5 Hellfire beams. Insanely useful for killing backliners / crowd control. His cost is insanely increased to a whopping 200 bucks, along with a higher recharge and slower fire rate. We're bringing hell on Earth! No, you're not. Next up, Dark Reaper / Lord Skelly. Need more blood. Okay, who spelled blood wrong? Dark Reaper is a sick-looking battler, having a cost of 600 bucks with a 20-second recharge. He has probably the most unique feature of any battler, Bloodlust. This can only be achieved when getting a kill and dying, making his already decent attack rate super fast, along with being able to increase the time via more kills, up to 4, which also gives him slight AoE damage when reaching max kills. Just remember that he relies on kills. If other units steal, then he's probably a waste of money. His alt form, Lord Skelly, gives him a massive damage and health increase, plus resistance, but with more fire rate, recharge, and cost. 1,200 bucks. And his Bloodlust is changed to summons upon death. He also does AoE fire damage instead of normal AoE when at 4 kills. He is also anti-angel, giving him 12.5% resistance and a 25% damage increase, just like with all the other anti-base units. Yeah, the same buff applies to different ones, specifically. If I gotta be honest, Lord Skelly fell off after Chapter 4 release, not gonna lie. I'm so bonely. Yeah, it's because you make bad puns. Actually, wait, I also make bad puns. Lord Skelly summons because they cool, I guess. If Lord Skelly gets 1 kill, a bonehead spawns, dealing normal damage with niche health and average fire rate. This summon can go up to 3 being spawned. On 4 kills, 3 bone fires spawn, dealing higher damage due to the fire effect they have. And I think they are anti-angel, just like Mr. L. Skelly. Your J's are fake. You're fake. Aww. Then we have Conjurer / Tree Butchet. Another Stayer Abaser. Is that a word? Stayer Baser? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, Conjurer can be spammed, just like Tix Collector. But when you use your cannon, he summons 3 rock fists on random enemies. When spammed, good lord, is that 500 plus damage? Godly. Meanwhile, Tree Butcher can be spammed, but has a longer recharge, making him less frequent. However, instead of rock fists, he fires a big AoE damaging boulder. Duh, that's what catapults do. Sucks that his damage nerf makes him slightly worse. Then a very unused uber rare, Interelf / Mole Santa. Does anyone even use this? I don't know. Anyway, Interelf is a strange unit, being able to self-heal per attack, and summons a gift upon getting a kill, which gives healing to other battlers upon explosion. And Mole Santa trades his self-healing for range and, I think, more damage. He also makes presents, which do AoE damage. Still needs a kill for it though. Honestly, these guys do have potential. They just need a damage buff in my opinion. I gave them a Christmas tree. Don't have any Christmas decorations or whatever, cause Christmas is already over. Now we have the super cool anti-black unit, Psy / Noir. Psy is just like Moo, but he is able to attack up to 3 times, with the last attack doing extra damage and making him invisible. Invisibility inside the battle bricks basically makes it so that any unit who has this invisibility can not take damage from single target attacks, but AoE damage can still attack them even if they are invisible. They can also phase through units as well, so it's pretty cool. I think Psy and Cloak Battler are currently the only ones that can go invisible. Anyway, Noir wields the Psy Parastron Noir, and is a huge upgrade to Psy, doing more damage and having extra walk speed, having more health and 50% resistance, and his 3rd attack makes him fire 5 Shadow Swords with no range limit. Basically meaning that if an enemy dies, and most of them are like at the base, then Noir can just go lap lap lap, ah, evil laugh, and then just do it from like all the way there. It's pretty cool really. And yeah, he gets a huge increase to his recharge and cost, however. I beg to God for him to not die to stupid expunger. Ugh. When the night has come, and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light you'll see. Loki, I think I cooked. Now for Operator / Commander. Super Angry Unit. Operator is able to use his walkie-talkie to make some dudes who we have no idea about summon a jet after a 2.5 second wind-up, which bombards enemies with a Gatling gun and AoE bombs which do loads of damage. Then he uses his gun to do more damage. Duh. Commander has a longer windup than Operator, but instead summons a tank, which crushes him after. The tank is super tanky, pun intended, having the second highest armor stat, tons of HP and AoE damage, and it stays for as long as it likes, and can be spammed. Oh yeah, also, note that Operator's jet bypasses the unit limit, so he will always be able to summon it. Unless he dies before he does. Green, what's your problem, Green? Press 2! Second to last is Iota/Ivory. Iota is like Moo and Psy, but instead she can charge up to 3 big pellets that do big damage. She's also quite spammy, and can be a huge problem to enemies when 5 of them all use their attack. Ivory is just like the others. Huge increase to cost and recharge, blah blah blah. But instead, she charges up for 15 seconds and releases a bunch of small pellets and 1 big pellet. I think at that point it's not even a pellet, it's like a meteor or something. Dealing the biggest AoE damage any unit can ever do. Low-key, I don't use her. Psst. Her attack ends early if she takes damage. Make sure to note this. Lastly, my favorite uber rare, bluesteel/goldaurum. Bluesteel is by far the most complex uber due to his many gimmicks. Let's start with the basics. He has the highest base HP, 300, unlike everyone's 100, and has fairly above average damage. Lol, I rhymed. Oh, he also has armor. His normal gimmick is when killing an enemy, they turn into a steeloo, providing a 40% resistance buff when freshly made. Not over time, and on death. Oh, yes, the steelues decay. His special gimmick is when an enemy is in his melee range, also known as six studs beside him. It's not that hard to say. He can do double his damage, which is a staggering 680 damage at level 30. Like that. Fun fact, Bluesteel actually clutched my 3-starred no base run. I spawned him just as Fatboy was about to use his bomb on the base, and because of him doing his melee damage and also a couple other units, the Fatboy died and I was able to entirely clutch my run. Meaning yes, I won. It was probably one of the best Balbrix moments that I've ever had on a community stage. W Bluesteel. He is literally my favorite Uber because of that. Yo, they floating, guys. Look, I moved them so they look like they're floating. You guys like it? Due to Bluesteel's slide being long, I gotta move Goldaurum to this one. Goldaurum is the same as Bluesteel, but loses a lot of his armor, and changes the steeloo to a goldue. The resistance buff switches to the bounty debuff to enemies. The goldues also give money on death too, 300 at max level. The steeloo also has double Bluesteel's armor. At max is 138 armor. It's literally the same as Commander's tank, which is ridiculous. The goldue has barely any armor though. Only a measly 26. Possibly the worst armor stat in the game. Ironic, isn't it? I have the greatest armor stat. I have the worst armor stat. Coincidence? Nah. Yeah, so I'll probably re-upload this when the 2 new Ubers come out. For now, hope you enjoyed this epic slideshow on the cool Ubers. See you next time!